Let's do this thing.
All right.
Okay?
Cool.
All right. Hello and welcome back to Where Do I Sit? My name is Sasha. Alessia here on my right. I think it's going to be on my right, maybe on my left when the screen is reversed during editing. We'll see. We'll find out. This is our first time. And this is my beautiful wife, Alessia. We've been together for 10 years. We're married. We're super fucking gay. And we are doing this lovely, lovely podcast today with a wonderful guest. Our first guest, actually, Sarah Newbold. She, her. And basically, Sarah is a licensed therapist and the founder of Progressive Therapeutic Collective, a nationwide mental health practice in Australia supporting people with sex, sexuality, gender, kink, trauma, and all of life's complexities. Sarah is also the author of The Art of Knife Play, an educational kink book blending safety, psychology, and pleasure. Wow, that's hot. And Sarah is personally and professionally interested in sex, kink, porn, intimacy, and connection, and how exploring these areas can create more pleasure, safety, and self-understanding. I fucking love this. I can't wait to hear everything you have to share and say to us, Sarah. Before we get started, just going to quickly ask people to like and subscribe. If you enjoy this episode, please drop us a comment. And talk to us. Tell us what you think of this episode. We're very, very excited. This is a first for us. So let's get cracking.
Hello. Yeah. Thank you both so much for having me.
Hello, Sarah.
Yes,
thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for trusting us. Yeah.
Good conversations ahead.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about yourself, just like in your own words, you know?
Yeah, so as you said in your blurb, I run a mental health practice here in Australia, and we're based on progressive values, and within our practice we talk a lot about sex and sexuality and kink and maybe some of the more fringe topics that some therapists don't kind of delve into.
Love that.
And like porn is one of the things we do integrate within our practice in terms of the conversations we have with our clients, the conversations we have in community. We sponsor a queer porn fest here in Australia called Smut Club.
Wow.
We've been doing that for about 4 years. That's for queer sex workers.
Beautiful.
So, yeah, we're is integrated into, I guess, the sex and sexuality community as much as we can be as a mental health practice. I'm queer,
that's very
proudly
rare.
so, and I talk a lot about that very openly because I think we need to normalise queer therapists.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and outside of that, I'm a huge fan of you both. I love your work.
Oh.
So in all areas.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That is the biggest compliment, honestly, coming from a licensed therapist to say that specializes in the field. I just, good job, me. Good job, baby.
Yeah.
We did it.
Yep. I refer lots of clients your way. So yeah.
That's just incredible. That's just unbelievable to hear, to be honest.
Yeah.
Who would have known that
Very
through
flattered.
that through like our love and, you know, just sharing our intimacy with the world, that it would be helping so many people in such unexpected ways, honestly.
In many,
and it keeps surprising us.
Ways.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a lot of questions about that, actually, that we're really excited to like pick your brain a little bit and like find out more, because it's just, I find it so rare that even sex therapists in general, they kind of shy away from talking about you know, pornography and sex workers and stuff like that. I mean, it's getting better, of course, but in my experience, it's, unless you go to like, you know, someone that really is passionate about this topic and an advocate, you know, it's not very common. So I love your approach. I love how inclusive it is, and
So open and safe. That's nice.
Yeah, we really work hard to be safe, and it boggles my mind, particularly when sex therapists and sexologists, but any kind of therapeutic practitioner, obviously we all have boundaries, and that's okay, but there still seems to be so much stigma and discrimination, and really old stereotyping that is so damaging. And like
Yeah.
we're in 2025, like let's do better.
Yeah.
Have some
Exactly.
honest, shame-free conversations, because human sexuality is a diverse and beautiful thing to be celebrated, not hidden in shame. So,
Amen.
yeah.
Absolutely. It also boggles my mind that we have so much research and just, you know, there's been so many studies done on this topic, and it's just people are still so opposed to it and closed off from it. And it's like, I find humanity to be very stubborn. It takes people a very long time to come around, even things that have been extensively researched and looked into and studied, and people are still like, no. It's unfortunate, but I think with more podcasts like this one and more people like you, just openly and shamelessly talking about it, I think this is where bit by bit we'll make a difference. So I think we're doing a great thing.
Yes, we are
very
together.
much so. Yeah.
Yes, the more we talk about it, the less shame there is around it. So.
And I know when I opened my practice 5 years ago, it was just before COVID, and when I had told a few people about what my approach was going to be, and particularly around sex, and the very open approach, so many people warned me not to do it. They were like, this is going to flop. Like, you are going to just, it's not going to work. And within 6 months, we had over 2,000 people on our wait list. Like, we have never needed to advertise for clients, ever. We've got
incredible.
A current wait list of 6 months. And that waxes and wanes, of course. But there's definitely demand. And I think, as you have both obviously recognised through your work as well, there is a demand.
What a statement, you know? Like, to have a 6-month-long wait list, like, that's a statement right there, like, loud and clear that topics like this are important, and
people need help with them.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that for you.
Thank you.
So one of my first questions, these are questions that me and Alessia both came up with, of course. We want to know, we can start off this conversation by asking you how you would define ethical porn exactly. What criteria makes porn ethical in your view? I so want to hear it from you.
And I've been thinking about this question, and my first response to it is, I think the term ethical is problematic because ethics look different for everyone. So I would consider my ethical framework to be quite left and quite progressive. But if you were to compare me to, say, a conservative, they would have their ethical framework as well. But what we consider ethical could be vastly different things. And so when you put ethical in front of something, the interpretation is so broad. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to be engaging with a service or a product that is aligned with your ethics. So I think ethical is a term we need to let go of, and to be a bit more definitive on what it is we're talking about. And my view as a therapist, so I mean, I think firstly, anyone who's creating content need to be the ones who really outline what are the conditions that make this healthy and safe.
I like that.
But my view from the outside would be obviously enthusiastic ongoing consent and a framework that enables that throughout the entire process, not just within filming, but everything else. It's a job, so it's working conditions, and do you have access to the same working conditions as the rest of the population of the country that you're living in? So anything around pay, health and safety, all of those things that we consider in any other workplace, this is no different.
I agree with that.
Usually people focus around consent and, you know, the autonomy, fair pay and all of that, which are some elements of the working conditions, but for you it's just, it has to be up to par with any other working condition. I don't know, it hits different the way that you've explained it, and I really appreciate that perspective.
And I would maybe even extend that a little further to say how consumers interact with you. Yes, there's, I guess, a bit of a parasocial relationship where people kind of get to understand a bit of you from different perspectives. But also it's really important to remember, I think, when people are interacting with you, say on social media or anything like that, that this is your job, that you're entitled to a private life, you're entitled to respect and confidentiality, and that you don't need to share all of yourself, because none of us do that at work. Like, we all go to work and we hope we're our true, authentic selves, absolutely. But when we all close our laptops after this chatting, like, we will go off and we will be slightly different versions of ourselves, more relaxed. Yeah, so I think that's something we need to have more conversation around with when we're talking about content creators who are in the public.
Yeah, I love
Does
that.
that make sense?
It does make perfect sense.
I strongly agree with that. with us being kind of viewed as, normal people, just like everyone else who has, our own private lives, and we don't share everything, and we don't need to overextend ourselves just for the public eye or for what other people do, not comparing, like, we don't want to compare ourselves to other people if they do, certain events or meet and greets or things like that, and we're not comfortable doing that yet. I think everyone's entitled to go at their own pace and make their own boundaries,
People sometimes don't seem to know the boundaries when it comes to posting your naked body online. Like, it seems like the minute you post your naked body online, people lose sight of, the boundaries that you uphold. And all of a sudden the entitlement comes in and they're like, well, I've already seen you naked, so just tell me everything else. Like, who cares? I've seen the most of you anyway. So, and it's been something that we've had to reiterate over and over and over ever since we've started doing our thing, and we've had to say no to people and set some really firm, strong boundaries over the years. And eventually people caught on that they're not gonna just, move us around like puppets and just be able to get what they want out of us and all the information that they want out of us just because they see us naked. Like, that's not how it works here. Like, so it kind of, what you were saying really made me think of that in our own experience, and how you're right. Like, when we're at a normal job, that's not sex work or whatever, no one can force you or put pressure, or exactly, nobody does that, first of all, but no one's gonna try to, it's not a thing. In no way are you obligated to share any further information about you that you don't feel like sharing, period. But it seems like the lines are a little bit blurred when we're talking about sex work. So yeah, it's very interesting how humans work when it comes to that.
I think the more we have conversations about sex work is real work and sex work is valid work, and
it's hard work.
Yeah. Yeah.
People just, they think, oh yeah, what do you're just having sex with your wife and you getting paid. Like, how hard could it be?
I've never worked this much in my entire fucking life before.
This is the hardest job I've ever had. This is more than full time. I work my fucking ass off to deliver the quality that we deliver, and to keep it, to keep the standard that we have, and to just run our socials and, manage our finances. Oh my God, the list is never ending,
It's
so
an
I think
entire
people
enterprise. Like, it's
exactly
just, you do every aspect of a job. Like,
it's
in terms
so
of
underestimated.
Finances, marketing, content. It's huge.
Exactly.
And you do
it could
really
be overwhelming sometimes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a random question to ask you.
Please.
What kind of mediums of porn do you like to consume? Like, are you more into like erotic novels or watching porn videos, or like audio eroticas? What is your like favorite kind?
If that's okay to ask, of course.
If that's okay, if you're
is.
comfy.
It is. Absolutely, it's okay to ask. So I started out my life like 20 years ago as a porn reviewer. And
Oh,
so,
no way.
Yeah.
No fucking way, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I used to work in like an adult store, and I used to manage a couple of them in Western Australia, and then got the opportunity to review sex toys and review porn. And so I was studying at the time to do the job that I do now, and just loved it. And so would come home with just like stacks and stacks of porn when porn used to be on DVD. And
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
I have watched loads of content over the years, but like in answer to your question, I watch porn for two reasons. And the first reason is around research. And I mean that really genuinely insofar as like research for my work. So to kind of understand what's out there, what people are doing. But also research for myself. Like if there's something that I don't know about or that's new and emerging, and I've never encountered it, and I'm like, oh, does that tickle my fancy? I want to watch it and kind of see how my body responds, if I like it, if I need to watch a bit more. So I do that as like an exploratory kind of exercise. And then in terms of what I watch for pleasure, I will keep private, because that is like the private part of myself. But I would say
Absolutely.
privately, I would engage in a whole range of material, but probably more porn online, like to watch.
Me
I
too.
spend my whole day talking and listening, and so my attention span at the end of the day is pretty limited. And so just to kind of sit there and zone out.
Good thing we caught you first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like at the moment, I'm reading Gillian Anderson's book, Want, but that's taking me a long time, all about women's sexual fantasies. I haven't really listened to audio, and
I tried one.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was the voice, but I just didn't get into it. But I only tried one, but I feel like I should give it another shot. Because there's a lot. There's a couple of apps out there. And I only tried one, and I just, I dropped it pretty quick. But once we, remember back in the day, babe, we used to send voice notes of sex, like as part of our content. And people really liked that.
Oh,
Only
yeah.
audio.
Yeah. We'd literally just have sex the way that we usually do on camera, except we wouldn't show the video. We'd just release the audio, and people loved it. They loved it. It really, it got their imaginations going and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's something about just having the freedom to visualize it the way that you want to visualize it that is, in a way, sexually liberating for certain people. And I thought that was so interesting. Like, the response was like,
It was good, yeah.
they were like, we need more. Like, they were hungry for more. So I thought that was really, really cool. We should do that again.
We should, yeah.
I'm so curious to know how can porn play a role in healing, in someone's healing, like especially someone that has suffered from sexual trauma, let's say. Like, we've had so many fans literally share with us that our content has helped them process their experiences and has helped them through their sexual traumas. And I would just love to hear it from you and understand the psychological mechanisms behind that.
It's huge. Like, you really can't understate how powerful consuming porn can be. If, like, to go back to our earlier conversation around if it aligns with your own ethics. And so having that as like your grounding of if we're happy that this is consensual and safe and all of those things to engage with, then I think as a starting point for me, when we talk about trauma, whatever it is, whether it's little t trauma, big T trauma, And little t means, I guess, like smaller events. Big T trauma means like larger, significant events. Is the opposite of trauma to me is choice. And so by that I mean, if we have a trauma happen to us, we haven't chosen that. There's no choice in trauma. It gets taken away. And so everything we try to do after trauma is to relearn safety. And what safety looked like for us in the past might look and feel very differently in the future. And so say if we're particularly talking about pleasure or intimacy or our sexual selves, we want to reintroduce as much choice as we can. And so I'll give an example. So say if we are watching content, it's having the ability to pause it and to stop. It's also the ability to turn off, like to not look, but maybe just to listen. Vice versa. Maybe we turn the sound down. Maybe we just watch. Maybe we can do it solo. Maybe we can do it with our partner or a friend. It doesn't necessarily have to be a sexual activity at all to watch porn.
Oh, wow.
It can be just like we're going to sit and watch this and see what we think. Like when I was working as a porn reviewer, my friends would sit around and watch it as well, kind of as like a fun thing to do. But there was never any sexual element to it.
Cool, yeah.
So I think porn can be transformative for people, but even more so than just trauma, I would say for any life transition, so whether that's, young adulthood to then say we have child rearing age to perimenopause, menopause, aging, I think there can be an assumption that we know our bodies better as we get older, and I would argue that's not necessarily true, because big things like trauma or childbirth or menopause, hormones, illness, grief will impact our body, will impact the relationship we have with our body, and will impact how we experience pleasure. And so what we might have liked 5 years ago might look very different in another 5 years. And
that is so true.
When we're wanting to explore or thinking, like what I used to like back then I don't like anymore, maybe porn can be a good starting point of like, where does this sit for me? Do I like that? Or, if we're contemplating having a threesome or whatever, like, can I just watch this and see how it makes me feel? So I think there's so many opportunities for engaging with porn. And I guess one of the biggest things is for women in terms of your content, where I have referred clients to you guys, is say for younger and older women who are coming out and haven't had a lot of engagement physically with women or non-binary people. And so I'm like, why don't you just go and have a look and see how this feels to watch it? And I mean, I think it's important to state that we can have two different things with porn, where things we watch will just be our fantasies. We're never going to live it out. And that's okay. Like, fantasy is beautiful. So because we fantasize about something doesn't necessarily mean we want to or have to do it in real life. But then the other side of that is when we watch porn because it is something we want to enact in our life, potentially.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think there's, in my personal opinion, there's too much fantasy out there and very little accurate representation of what sex actually looks like, especially for queer people. And that's kind of like, it's our mission basically, is just to just bring a little bit more balance to the world when it comes to just like sex between two women who genuinely love each other and have a serious long-term relationship, So I think it's very interesting that you are saying that it helps some of your clients with figuring out their identities or navigating that journey, because I can't tell you how often, almost on a daily basis, without exaggeration, we get DMs from people telling us how thankful they are that they found us because it helped them figure out who they were, and it helped them figure out what they like and come to terms with their identity. And so many people, it like makes me emotional when I think about it for too long, but we've helped them literally come out to their friends and loved ones and family members and all of that. And I love that it's coming from you, because porn is really an underestimated medium to, like, especially the benefits of it are severely underestimated. Like, when people think porn, they think like the degrading, the nasty, the trashy, the stigmas, anti-women and this and that. And some of it is bad, obviously. Some of it is I would say detrimental. But there is porn that is actually super beneficial. I don't think there's enough of it out there either, unfortunately, but it's worth doing the research for it.
And I think, you know, there's good and bad in every industry. You know, there's like good video games, shitty ones, movies, music, whatever we look at, there's always going to be practices and people doing the wrong thing. And always people doing the right thing. And I wish that people understood that more when consuming content.
You've mentioned when watching, the activity of watching porn can be so diverse. You could watch it with a partner, you could watch it with a friend, whatever. I'm actually curious to know, like, how well, first, I think I know the answer to this, but I'll just let you say it yourself. Do you believe that porn can be beneficial for couples? And do you integrate it into couples therapy if you work with partners? I don't know if you do.
I'm more careful with that, but it absolutely has a place to introduce porn into relationships. And as I said, it doesn't have to be a sexual thing. It can be just a, like, let's watch something and see if we like the look of it, and as a conversation point, or like, this is what I may be interested in, this is what it looks like, what do you think?
I love how open you are. Like, I love that. I just find it so beautiful when people have such an open mind towards things that are so not, you know, typical. I really, really love that. Like, I wouldn't have even ever thought of, and I'm a very fucking open person. I think I've made that clear. But, like, to think, like, you know, just to hang out with a friend and be like, hey, let's watch some porn and just, like, chat about it. Like, it actually does sound like a fucking blast. Like, I'm kind of down to try that with our friends, babe. Like,
yeah. You know what I was thinking of also when she was talking was that, like, I've heard of people kind of sending each other, let's say you're going to go on a date with someone, or you've been flirting a lot or whatever. Like, a lot of people send each other their types of porn that they like watching. Like, this is what I'm into, send them some links and then send them back, and then, or like create a playlist for each other of porn. Like, that's a thing I've heard of a lot of people doing, by the way. So I think that's
you're
pretty
right.
cool. Yeah.
You're totally right.
It's cool to learn about other people. Like, if you're into someone, it's cool to learn about what they're into, like what kind of porn they watch. When I was young, the first porn I ever watched was two guys in a locker room. I still remember it very clearly. and I was like, whoa, like, this is sick. Like, and then I had to watch like gay guys for a while.
Gay porn was my go-to for a while as well. I went through a phase of that. There's just something so, like, raw and, like, authentic
the chemistry.
about. Yeah, like, you could just tell that they're gay AF for each other, and I'm just like, man, I love that for you, and I'm so here for it. I'm here for both of your pleasuring each other. Like, it's just, I'm like, give me that real, raw, animalistic connection and chemistry that, like, I can't find anywhere else.
They're just so horny for each other, you know?
That's it. Like, it's just, like, it's so visceral.
Pure horniness,
It's not scripted, it's not. But I think this is probably where you both are now filling such an important gap in all of this, in providing authentic queer female sex. And like,
if I can make someone feel the way that I felt watching gay porn towards our porn, like, man, we did something right, babe.
Yeah.
We did something right. You should have your own podcast. Then you can have us as guests.
I like going on other people's podcasts.
Yeah, you do it often?
I've been on a few, yeah. I've talked about a whole range of issues. I've talked about abortion. I've talked about before my mum passed away, she had dementia. We went on a podcast together and talked about her experience. I'm on a few in Australia, just on a range of mental health things and kink things and whatnot.
Good.
So
I love that.
as you can probably tell, I like talking. So
you have all the right things to say though. Like you're a natural at this. I love that. We loved having you on. Honestly, we couldn't have asked for a better first guest. Honestly.
Yep. Can you tell our
joy.
Yes, yeah, it has. Can you tell our fans where they can find you, your website, your social handles?
Yeah, absolutely. So our website is progressivetherapeutic.com.au.
We'll put it in the description just in case.
TikTok Progressive Therapist. So if you just kind of look for Progressive Therapy Australia, we will pop up. So thank you both very much for having me and for this opportunity and for the incredible work that you do. It's really, really important, and you bring a lot of joy and pleasure.
So is yours. Your work is just as important and valuable as ours, and it's much needed and very much appreciated in the queer community. So you are doing the Lord's work, and
for the gays,
the gay Lord's work. And we appreciate you for it. We loved having you on. We're going to wrap this up now because I know it's very, very early where you are, and we were basically your coffee this morning. I'm very sorry for that.
And it's almost your bedtime, baby.
I know, it is almost my bedtime. Crazy. It's your morning and my bedtime. I love that. Cool. So thank you very much for everything. And you guys out there watching, please don't forget to subscribe, follow, comment. Let us and Sarah know how you felt about the episode. Please follow her. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you guys on the next one. Bye, Sarah. Bye, everybody. Bye.